So in the previous videos, we added windows and doors to the exterior envelope. As a part of the exterior envelope, we adjusted the curtain wall to have a different pattern than originally. And now what we're going to do is set up the 3 views that we want to include in the sheet that we'll print out and turn in. Those 3 views that I want you to do are the east elevation, the west elevation. So the east elevation, since that's where we added doors and windows, and the west elevation, once again, where we added these windows, and then the first finished floor plan. Okay, so let's set up those 3 views and make some minor changes to them. First of all, we want to use, instead of the one we already created, this first floor plan, we want to use the one where we added the dimensions here, because I want to make sure that you have those dimensions, that you adjusted the windows properly. The second is that you'll notice that the floor plan, okay, you'll notice that the floor plan lost all of its doors. They're there. You can barely see that, probably a little blue there. But the reason is because we moved the cut plane up so that we could get those windows right there. And so what I'm going to do is go in here and say edit range. And I'm going to change this back to 4 feet so that we get all of our doors and windows back. Okay. There's still some doors and windows that we haven't put in, and we'll put those in the next assignment. But now we have those, but we can't see these windows, right? So the first thing we're going to do is create what is called a plan region, okay? And that's covered in the help files inside of AutoCAD. I'll show you a clip out of that. So we may have a condition where we have a floor plan that's the cut plane is set at a particular height, but we want to be able to also include something that is a half a floor plan in this case, or in our case, we have some windows that are up above. And so what we can do is create a plan region and say, okay, change the view depth for that particular plan and then show it cut. Okay, and that's basically what we're going to do. And to do that, we're going to go in and we're going to go to views, right here, the view tab. And then we're going to go to plans, hit the little down arrow, and we're going to go to plan region right here. And then with that done, we're going to set a region. I'm going to use a rectangle here, make it a little bit easier on myself. And right now we'll just start right there and we'll go to right there. Okay. Once we've done that plan region, we can say okay. And if I select on it, you'll see I can set the view range for it. And so in the view range, I'm going to go back and set this to that 7 foot 4 inches that we were using before. Okay. And now, bam, I have my window shown here. And there's a little dotted line around that. That's to show that this is a different set view range, you know, which is probably good to leave in, even though we could hide it if we wanted to, but it might be misinforming the person if we didn't leave it in there, because they would think this was cut at 4 feet. But anyway, so now we have that view, that part fixed on the floor plan. The next thing we want to fix on the floor plan is what is called the wrap. Here's the curtain wall right here, and you can see what we really like for it to happen is that this brick veneer be wrapped here, and that the gypsum board be wrapped on the inside here. Okay, and so to do that, what we're going to do is select this wall. We're going to go back into edit type. Okay, and in that edit type, we're going to say wrapping at inserts, and insert is like a window and door. So I'm going to set this to both. In other words, I want to wrap both the interior and the exterior. And then wrapping at ends of the wall, I'm going to wrap that on the exterior side. Use the exterior material, that's the brick veneer. I'm going to apply that and say okay. And you'll see now that this was wrapped, okay, around the end of the wall there. And the same thing here, it was wrapped around to the end of the wall. And of course, this has been gypped board here. The one thing that you will notice is that the storefront inserts, they did not wrap, okay? And this is inherently a problem within Revit. I've looked at it and looked at several forums and stuff, and I can't. There is a solution. It's a pretty involved solution. It's really beyond what we want to do in this class or in this assignment. So I'm not going to get into it, but it is resolvable, but it's not an easy, simple resolution at this time, as such as turning something on or turning something off. You'll notice the window here, of course, has a seal, so its jam right here is the depth of the window, so it's sealing itself off. And then you'll notice here that the door actually does wrap on both cases, and this is true with Windows too. But because these are both considered walls, this is considered a wall and this is considered a wall, for some reason they haven't resolved that issue yet. Okay, let's move on. So the next thing we're going to do is, we pretty much have our floor plan ready to go. I'm going to make a copy of it. Okay, so I'm going to go into level here, duplicate the view, duplicate with detailing so that I keep all my dimensions and everything. And then with this copy, what I'm going to do is rename it. And I'm going to use my same presentation naming conventions that I used right here. So I'm going to call this 4, though. This is floor plan 4. And we'll call it first floor. We could put plan in there. I guess we will. We'll go ahead and put plan in there. Or just A06. Let's do that for A07, not 6. Okay, for assignment A07. Okay. So now we have this renamed, and this is the floor plan that we're going to put into our sheet. The next is that we got the west view and the east elevation view, and we want to solve some problems here. First of all, in the elevation, we don't want to see through the ground here. Okay, and to prevent from seeing through the ground, the first thing we need to do is put in a building pad, which we didn't earlier. We did in our little concrete block building. We put the building pad in, and we should have put one in here too, but we'll go ahead and put it in now. And it's going to start at the 6 inches below the finished floor. So the finished floor is where our slab is, and we want the building pad to be the depth of the slab. And so we're going to put that building pad in. So let's go in and put the building pad in. And to do that, we're just going to go to the structural plans, go to the first level. And then we're going to go into massing and site, and then building pad wants us to save. I'm just going to ignore that right now. And then I'm going to zoom in here, make sure I'm locking in, not to the top of the pad right here. This is the top of the pier. I'm sorry, not the pad, the pier. And then I'm going to go here all the way to the other end and snap once again there. And then we'll lock that so that if we do have to change the concrete slab, it will change with us. So I'm going to go ahead and lock it on all 4 sides. And then right here, I'm going to tell it to drop down -6 inches, so below the depth of the slab. Okay, so I'm going to apply that. And then we're just going to accept this, and it's going to put a pad in there. Okay, we can't see it right now, but it will impact the topography. The next thing we want to do is let's go back now. Let's close that view, and let's go back to our floor plan. And I'm going to turn on in the floor plan the I'm going to turn on the elevation annotations, and I'll show you why here in just a second. Okay, so we're going to go in here, elevations. You'll see I turned it off by category earlier, so I'm going to apply that and say okay. And you can see there's my elevation for over here. Okay, I'm going to move it kind of into place here. And that is my west elevation. And then here is, of course, my east elevation. Okay, and I have a north and a south elevation. And once again, the elevation is going to be determined by this line right here, how much it shows, right? So when we're in the elevation, if we want to see it, we want to see the whole elevation, we got to make sure that we have that elevation there. And so let's go back into our east elevation here, and we can see now that our topo is being cut. And the reason is because if you don't move the, let me show you. Oh, let's close that and open our view. If you don't move the elevation cut here so that it slices the topography, then it won't show the topography below it. It'll show as if the topography isn't there. So here's what we want it to do, both on the west side. Now here we may have the topography turned off. Let's see if we do here. I don't think we have it close enough. Let's see though. It could be a couple of things. So I'm going to tab in here, see if I can find. Is that topography right there? Yeah, that's the topography. So the topography is on, so we must not be slicing on the west elevation. So I'm going to go back to this view, grab this west elevation and move it in, okay? And I think once I move it in, because that topography doesn't go very far out here, I could turn it on, but I don't want it on. So I'm going to go in here so that the topography over on this side, Wretched goes all the way out to here. And so with that in there, I'm going to go back to west now. Okay, and we have what we want. The other thing I'm going to do then to make this view, and if you have it where this view is showing you the earth hatching and you want it to be gray or something like that, then what you have to do is go in here into mask siding and hit the little down arrow here and reset the material, okay? So section cut material, you'll see it's earth solid at this point, and that the shading is, the cut shading is set to a solid feel, okay, gray. And so that cut pattern is a solid gray. If it's set to earth, then what you're going to get is that earth symbol, right, wherever it is. Lost it here. Anyway, whatever hatch you put in there or whatever. So if you want it to be solid fill, then, and if you want it to be green, you can set it to green. If you want it to be black, you set it to black. I've got it set to gray in yours. And then, so let's just apply that and say, okay. The next thing I'm going to do is turn on the crop, okay? And this crops that view. So when I insert it into a sheet, that's how it's going to be cropped. And I'm going to bring this up right here. If I can grab a hold of it, there we go. My computer's running a little slow today. And I'm going to crop that view down so that, and then I'm going to turn, I don't want that black line around it, so I'm going to turn visual off, okay? And so now we have a gray topography underneath here, and we're not seeing the elevation of the piers. And the next, I'm going to do the same thing for the east view here, okay? So once again, I'm going to crop. You'll see in this view the ends of my sections. Let's go ahead and pull those up so that they'll be shown in the wall sections. And then we're going to crop this in and crop this in and crop this down. Okay, so now we've got our views where they look like where we want them. If I want this to go out beyond, okay, once again, I'm gonna turn that off, okay. And so now I've got my view set. I'm going to duplicate these once again because these are working views, okay, and I want to turn them into presentation views. So I'm going to duplicate the west view with detailing. and I'm going to call that 14 West. So the 14th view west. I think I've got a, well, I stop at 11 there. I could, anyway, ones with numbers, I know that those are my presentation views. The others I'm going to do, oh, I don't want copy on there, west, and I'll call this elevation. And I'll do the same thing here with the east. I'm going to duplicate the view with detailing and rename it 15 dash east elevation. And so that's great. So now I've got my 3 views set up. I've got them detailed the way that I want them. I'm ready to print them out and put them on a sheet. So in my next video, I'm just going to show you how to put those into a sheet, and then we will print those out.